Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. It's been revealed in a documentary, and Jerry told the Dallas Morning News as well, that he had fought back from cancer. Just your thoughts about the resiliency of Jerry and those kinds of things.
Well, I think it's an incredible story. I had heard the story from Jerry. He and I shared that. I think it just talks to you a lot about, your health, how important it is, and it doesn't discriminate against anybody. And mine was certainly less serious, Calvin, but I was 28 when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Nothing like stage 4, nothing like what Jerry and other people have to go through. But you hear that word cancer, and it scares the hell out of you. I was actually in training camp when I got the word from our doctor, and I'll never forget going to find my dad, and just, I was a quarterback coach in San Diego, and telling him, just saying those words to him freaked me out. So amazing story. I'm glad that Jerry shared it, just because I think it gives people hope. It gives people the strength to say, okay, hey, you can beat this, you can do that. And when you have that type of diagnosis, to have that hope and that ability to think, hey, I can fight through this, and maybe I catch a break and get lucky, and that's great.
Jerry, I was just close to his family like you are. How much does that help you fight cancer?
Oh, it does. I mean, you lean on those people. I mean, you definitely lean on those people. And the communication, because like when you're going through those things, again, mine was nothing like as serious. Thyroid cancer is the slowest growing cancer in the world. I was actually more concerned about when I had to have the surgery that I could lose my ability to speak. And I was a coach, because they're around your vocal cords. And Sam Weish actually had something like that happened to him a while back. But, man, without your inner circle of people and your family and your loved ones, it kind of reminds you of what truly matters.
Clarksville deal lost Cowboys. Can you just talk about your cancer situation in the sense of what stage was it in? How you said it wasn't as serious, but how serious was it?
Yeah, it was thyroid cancer. I don't remember exactly the stage it was in. I had to go to the Mayo Clinic. Crazy enough, we had just been in Washington the year before, 2 years before, and did not know this, but Dan Snyder actually had thyroid cancer. So I was not aware of that when I was coaching. And so I get the word, and I go and I find my dad. He's in watching the defensive film with the defensive guys, and I kind of called him out of the room, said, "Coach, can I see it for a second?" I told him that, I said, "Hey, I have cancer," and I broke down, of course, started, and I lost it. And he said, "Hey, we'll figure this out, and we'll get you the best help we can get." And he picked up the phone and called Dan Snyder, a guy that 2 years before had fired him, and said, "Hey, let's go a different direction." It wasn't going to work. But he said, I'll never forget, he told me, when Dan picked up the phone and my dad said to him, "Hey, Dan, I've got a problem. Brian has cancer." Dan said, "Marty, give me 5 minutes, and I'll call you back." And I think it was within 24 to 36 hours, I was on the operating table in Rochester, Minnesota. Again, it just shows you when you're dealing with things like that, everything competitively stops. Like, okay, hey, Marty and Dan disagreed and wanted to go a different direction. But the minute he picked up the phone, he said, "Hey, give me 5 minutes," and he called his contact at the Mayo Clinic, and next thing you know, I'm on the operating table. My wife was pregnant with our first child. She was about 4 months pregnant with our son Sutton, and so it was a very traumatic thing for me.
Can you give us just a timeline of when you found out you had cancer to when you were operated on until it was all gone?
Yeah, it's been a while, but basically found out early August. Came off the practice field, had a phone call from the doctor saying, "Hey, Brian, give me a call." I knew there was a lump in my throat, and so I knew there was something that was bothering me, but I didn't think it was anything. The doctor, when they did the fine needle aspiration, they didn't think it was anything. And so I remember coming in from practice and picking up the phone, and I knew it wasn't a good thing. So I called him, and he said, "Hey, you have cancer." He said, "Hey, thyroid cancer is the slowest growing type of cancer that there is." He said, "We can wait till the bye week or even, after the season." I was like, "No, let's remove it." And so went into surgery about 48 hours or 72 hours later. They removed my thyroid, and I think there were 17 lymph nodes. The thing that's so crazy about, you guys can see on my throat potentially, but there's a scar. But the thing about thyroid cancer is usually what they do is you do the surgery, and they make you take a radioactive iodine. You drink a radioactive iodine drink, And the beauty of what I was fortunate enough to do, and I say this humbly, was the doctor that did the surgery said, he goes, I'm not going to do that to you unless I think I miss. And he goes, I never miss. And so I think that's why, again, very blessed to be in the position I was, National Football League. And again, quite honestly, we are blessed to have some of the best connections to things like that. But I'm honored and humbled to say that if it wasn't for Dan Snyder, if it wasn't for the National Football League, maybe my story was a little bit different.
Brian Schottenheimer with ESPN. I don't know how to move off the subject.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's been a while. And I still have my voice, which is good.
I'm sure some other people think otherwise.
Yes, they do.
A year ago this time, we all knew Leah Fowl could sing, right? There was the rookie stuff. We haven't heard anything yet on guys doing it. Have you not done anything, or what's the?
No, we're I'm not a get a guy up there and have him sing. I'm more of a hey, let's see a production. Let's see a orchestrated rookie show. So we're going to do our rookie show tonight. We're going to have a hell of a practice today, clean some stuff up with meetings, and then I think at 5:45 tonight, the rookies are going to put on a little performance. I know they've been working hard on it. We'll find out what hidden talents they have. I'm sure that I, along with some of the veterans, will be getting roasted unmercifully, but that's all part of it. If you can't laugh at yourself and have good fun, then I think you're taking yourself too seriously. But yeah, I'm more that way. I think if they sing, great, but if they whatever they come up with, it's their deal. So Brian Wansley and Tyler Boyle's my chief of staff. They've been helping those guys put it together, and it's been kind of fun for them. I've not seen any of it, but it's kind of fun for them to see the guys that are stepping up in the leadership roles and things like that. So I'll let you know how it goes.
Do you have a favorite skit or whatever that comes to mind from your years of being around there?
Well, I mean, Rex had a thing in New York. I can't believe I'm going to share this. Well, it's on Hard Knocks, so it doesn't matter. But he did a thing called King Ugly, and he basically would present a guy with a crown that he thought was the ugliest guy on the football team. I don't remember who it was, but I remember going, that's brutal. And then it made it worse was it was Hard Knocks, right? So it lives on forever. You're like, whoever it was, I can't remember. I was like, it's so bad. But that was always interesting. And it was a different guy every year, which is kind of fun.
John Michaud with The Athletic. We saw Brandon Aubrey get some work yesterday. Just what have you thought of what he's been able to do out here, and how do you, I guess, know if he's ready for the regular season?
Well, when I talked to Brandon, I think, he feels ready. I know he's really loved being outdoors, kicking with the wind. The wind's been kind of a fun challenge for him a little bit. When you're kicking indoors all the time, I think he's been maximizing those opportunities. But I think he's in a really good spot. It's interesting for me, having never really spent much time when I'm in those meetings when Nick and Carlos are going through the specialist stuff, specifically with Brandon and Banger, hearing the technical side of what goes into kicking a football. I mean, I just kind of took it for granted. Like, okay, yeah, you kick the ball and this and that, but the technical footwork and the plant step and the follow through and all those different things, like. Literally, I'm in amazement in some regards. Like, there's so much technical stuff that goes into it, and I think he's in a really good spot right now, very confident. But being outside and on the grass has been great for him.
You guys get ready to leave tomorrow. What's been something that maybe stood out to you about your first training camp?
I'd say a lot of things. I think, number one, I love the environment out here. We actually had a chance. We had a bunch of the resort hotel staff come in today and show them some gratitude, and they said a few words, and we thanked them, and they got a standing ovation. I mean, they make it so easy for us. We're here working hard, away from our families. We don't want for anything. They take care of us in the food lines. They're amazing. So that was really fun for me. We'll do something, signing some autographs for them as well tomorrow. But I would just say the physical nature of the practices. That's what I'm going to remember. Practice yesterday was very physical, very good, very competitive, and another one today. So 2-hour practice today, and we'll be done with our padded work out here in Cali.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. Just going back to that time when you were 28, you have that moment, and you also welcome in Sutton. How would you say your life perspective changed in that 1 year?
Well, that's really when it's funny because when I first went to San Diego, I was raised Catholic, grew up in the Catholic Church, and then as I got older, I kind of became, I was going to be more of a non-denominational guy. When I first went to San Diego, one of the first people I met was our team chaplain, Pastor Sean Mitchell, and he just was the most upbeat, positive person I've ever been around, just a personality that just drew you in. And my faith really kind of took off, if I'm being honest with you. And I became a much better Christian, a much stronger believer, and my faith obviously is very important to me. I have my tattoos to prove that, but it was interesting how God worked, because I found my faith out there, and then I think it was about, not long, less than a year, 6-8 months before I got the diagnosis, and I really leaned on my faith. It was a scary time, a lot of things moving on, Again, I'm not joking. I was terrified of the fact that I might lose my ability to speak because of my love for coaching, and I was one of the lucky ones. And again, I look at the scar. I'd say, I don't stare at it because I'm used to it being there. A little bit of chest hair covers it up, but again, I look at it, I'm reminded how lucky I am.
What do you remember about your time with Cooper Rush, and how excited are you to see
Oh, I can't wait to see Coop. I mean, Coop's the best. I just loved his personality, the way he was just so calm, even. Can't wait to see him. I, of course, was, pulling for him to go and get a great opportunity. If it wasn't going to be with us, he got a great opportunity, got, a great contract. So can't wait to see him and catch up. I know he's impacting that locker room, man, just like he did ours. And it'd be great to give him a hug on Saturday. Easy game plan? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm anxious to see if he's running some of the power reading stuff that Lamar's doing. I know he can. I know he did at one time, but I want to ask him about his golf game. I want to see if he's getting much golf in up there in Baltimore.
Tommy R, StylesCowboys.com. We've seen you get fired up when you see plays that you like on the practice field. How fired up do you get when you see George Pickens kind of climb the ladder? Something we haven't really seen him do too much out here, but we know he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I love practice, so it doesn't matter whether it's George running up and high pointing that ball yesterday, or Malik Hooker on the interception. And there's a great play by Malik. I mean, I just love seeing our guys as a unit flash. And I kind of talked to the guys in the team meeting today about, when you have a competitive practice, there should be back and forth. There should be the offense makes a big play, and then the defense responds, and then the defense makes a turnover, and then the offense scores a touchdown. Like, that's how you know your practices are competitive, because there's the back and forth, there's the good, the bad. And we talked a little bit today about sudden change and capturing and seizing that momentum. We're going to be a team that takes the football away. That's our goal. We're trying to get 3 takeaways every game, and the goal on offense to give away 0. So I do think that there's a way that we want to treat sudden change in terms of the process of getting our minds right to reset and focus that we talked about with the guys that you'll see us drill out there today.
You said that you're expecting to get roasted tonight at the rookie show. Who do you think can get you the best or impersonate you the best?
I don't know. I'm sure there'll be a number of things. I really don't know. I think Justin Barron's got a big part of this, is kind of what I'm hearing. So we'll see. He might be a little bit nervous. We'll see. These guys are probably all going to have to do a shot of something before they go up in front of me and all the guys. But I told them, I said, hey, look, guys, hey, have fun with it. Seriously, have fun with it. Like, you're not going to hurt my feelings or the guys' feelings. We're not going to take it personal. That's part of the connection piece. If you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't laugh at one another, then what are we doing?
Joe White, Dallas Morning News. Forgive me if this is just me not knowing, but have you ever publicly revealed that you had the thyroid cancer ordeal? And if this is your first time, why did you kind of feel it was important to share it?
I don't think I've ever kept it from anybody. I don't think maybe I've ever been asked. I think it was just, Jerry, and how powerful his story is. And again, I'm not comparing my story to Jerry's or anybody else. It's my story, and like I started out with, mine was a lot less significant and serious than other people's. But it just speaks to, again, like, here I sit, and it could have gone a lot of different directions, just like Jerry's story could have gone a lot of different directions. But it's nothing that I keep private. It's hard to keep private when you do have the scar on your neck, and but it's one of those things that my heart does go out to people that have to deal with cancer or any disease that can be deadly and take a turn for the worst.
Can you share with us pretty clear points that you talk to your team about every day, and they differentiate every day? How do you go about preparing what you're going to tell the team every day, what you're going to talk about, what you want to do? How do you go about preparing that?
Well, the biggest thing I'd say is I never want my team meetings to feel like a team meeting. I do, a lot of work with Tyler Boyles, Ryan Feeder, a couple other guys in terms of just changing it up. I don't want these guys to come in and be like, oh, he's doing this, this is the flow. So I try to keep them on their toes. I try to keep them interesting. But we look for different things. We look for things that we try to speak about in terms of current events that are going on, philosophical things that affect us, football-specific game management stuff. We always compete, find different competitions, whether it's golf, ping pong, basketball, whatever it is. Today we showed a video, breaking news of the AP Top 25, coming out. So Demo was all fired up, he and Micah and Miles, about, Texas and Penn State being up there high. I do think that Florida got, cheated a little bit. I think we should be higher than 15, but people were quick to point out Mississippi State wasn't on there. So, yeah, Dak didn't really like that. But I think, to answer your question, I just, I'm going to get my points across, but I also don't want it to be like, all right, how much longer is Schotty going to go for? I want to keep it fun. I want to keep it upbeat. I teach. We watch practice clips. We showed the sudden change from the other day against the Rams where Joe had the interception, the defense got the ball back, and then we missed the explosive and just talked about momentum and things like that. So I'm going to give a lot of credit to Tyler Boyles, my chief of staff. He's incredible. Ryan Feeder's a great sounding board, and there's some of the guys in the video department that find some of the stuff off the wall, too, to show.
Michelle.
Coach Michelle Montaigne every day. John asked you what stood out to you most about your first training game as the head coach. Is that, you said that this is what you practice and whatnot, is that your favorite part, or do you have a favorite part of being out here for the first time?
I think the favorite part that I have is this with you guys every day. No, just kidding. Man, the meetings, I really do. I'm a pretty simple guy. I've got my family, I've got my faith, and then I've got football. I just love it. I could do football 24/7. But to sit in the meetings and hear the coaches just hammer on guys and the different points and the coach, I get excited to hear our coaches teach because I think they do an awesome job of teaching. And then I'm real big. I say it, they used to make fun of me. It'll probably show up in the rookie show. I say write this down a lot because I do think that the mother of all learning is to write things down. So the guys always have to have their notebooks out. But I'm just a football junkie, and you could be in the weight room, could be in the locker room, could be on the practice field. If I'm doing football, I'm pretty happy. Which part? No, pre-snap penalties are not my favorite part. And so actually we had on Malik's interception yesterday, there was we have the officials out here. Alan Eck and his team are out here. Be out there with us again today. And on Malik's great interception, there was a penalty called for lining up in the neutral zone, offsides. So I showed that to the group today and, again, pointed out, like, here's a huge momentum swing, but because we didn't take the time to check our alignment, we were offsides, that play comes back. So the discipline piece, we've been hammering pretty hard.
Question on that. It's something that the team has struggled with for a couple seasons, or several. What goes into that? What goes into these pre-snap?
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's discipline, and I've been a part of it, but I'm not going to say that, ultimately I was in charge of all of that. I think, you have to teach these guys. I'm not a guy that shies away from anything. I love hard conversations. I like bringing guys in. I don't mind calling guys out. They know I love them. They know I care about them. If I call a guy out, it's not because I don't care about them. It's that, hey, if this hurts our ability to win, that's the goal. The goal is to win, and not just win, it's to win a Super Bowl. And so I have zero problem pointing those things out, but I think what happens is if you don't point them out, then you're almost making it seem to them like, oh, these are okay. They're not okay. And we obviously didn't do a great job of it last year. We didn't do a great job of it, in this past game. And so a couple things I'm looking for in this upcoming game against Baltimore is I'd love us to start faster one. I'd like us to play with more discipline, in terms of the pre-snap penalties, and I'd love to see us tackle better on defense.
Hey, Coach. Patrick Walker, Cowboys.com. Kind of a two-part question. First being, as you guys transition back to the home front, obviously the huge positive is guys get to be back around their families, their loved ones. But as a head coach, you also have the challenge of potential outside distractions. What's your message to the team as they transition back to Dallas?
Well, number one, we want them to reconnect with their families. I want them all taking their kids to school on Friday. Friday will be an off day. take your kids to school, man, and, be around your family, reconnect. What's going on? I mean, I've got a daughter checking into, moving into college that I've barely talked to. So, I obviously can't get to her, but, I hope she can give me 10 or 15 minutes just to touch base on how everything's going with sorority rush and all that stuff. But, when you play this game and it takes you away from a lot of things and sacrifices, which we should make and we openly make because we want to and we want to be great, when you get those opportunities to pause and celebrate and be around your family, I want them to do that. So we'll do that on Friday because obviously there's a transition. We have to get everything set back up. We'll meet back up Saturday morning, get ready for the game. And we're going to stay in kind of a training camp mode for a little while. We're not going to an in-season schedule right away. Why? I think we're still in the process of evaluation. We're still in the process of growing as a football team. We're still going to have night meetings. We're still going to do things. We've got a few of the night practices coming up as well. But training camp can continue in Frisco for a couple days.
The second part of that question is, from you guys' arrival on July 20th to now, I know you spoke about the physicality a bit. What are you most proud of as far as the progress you've seen over these past 3 weeks or so?
It's funny you ask that because I think I was literally thinking about it earlier today. Yesterday, we've struggled to stay on our feet with padded practices. I thought yesterday was our best day of practicing in pads and not having guys on the ground. And so that was one of the things that just stood out to me, Patrick, when you asked the question, because I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, as I watch the film, I usually watch the film with the staffs, and then I'll watch it again either at night or in the morning. And I was kind of like, maybe we're figuring this thing out because we're going to be in pads some, and we're going to practice in pads during the season, and you have to do that and still be able to stay on the ground. So that's one thing that just popped out when you asked the question. I was like, that was something I think, hey, maybe we're getting it. It gets you excited as a coach.
Patrick asked you about the positives. Are there any concerns or things that you don't feel you got to coming out of camp, after 4 weeks camp? I don't know, cornerbacks, defensive tackles, anything that you're concerned with about this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think, at the end of the day, it's not concerns. It's figuring out these position battles. There's a ton of position battles where we're going to have to make some really tough decisions, and we're going to have to go back, and you'll see us do some one-on-ones today, Clarence, because one-on-ones are a cool tool for us to look at. Okay, hey, can this guy cover this guy one-on-one? Can this guy rush the passer and beat this guy one-on-one? But I wouldn't say there's things I'm concerned about. I would say that there's some big, hard, tough decisions coming up that we want to make sure we're making the right decision. Myself, Jerry, Steven, Will McClay, his staff, the coaches. And so that's why you have to have some of these hard practices. That's why we have to practice hard next week, too, because, we have to make sure we're getting it right. And I think we will get it right.
All righty.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.